It's what's happening right now. This is the Mike Smyth Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's talk gas prices now. Gas prices sky high. And we continue to, a lot of people continuing to struggle with it. Taking a looking at gas prices at gasbuddy.com. There had been some indications that gas prices would be going down the next couple of days before the weekend. Let's check in now with and discuss the calls for a gas price cut. My guest is Corey Redicott, CEO, Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce. Corey, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, Mike. Nice to be here.
Okay, have gas prices come down? Because there was some indication we're going to get a break this weekend. What are you hearing?
Well, I saw 206 at the station on my way in, so I guess they've come down from 210 yesterday, but still 206 is wickedly high. So I think we're talking, we're kind of rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic here. They're still epically high by my account.
Tell me your concerns here. How is that impacting you and the people you represent?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm with the Langley Chamber. So we're the voice and champion for businesses here in Langley and south of Fraser. And we've been hearing from our members now that it turns out this isn't transitory. We've all been kind of waiting for inflation to peak and recede, and that doesn't seem to be what's happening. And now we're starting to see from businesses that it's actually having an impact, fuel prices, which are up 30%, 35% this year alone, or even the last 4 months or so. And I think when you look at suppliers, you're seeing fuel surcharges going up, and that's increasing prices if you're trying to get your goods into your factory. We're actually hearing from employers who are saying now workers are saying, well, I'm spending an extra $100, $200 just getting to job sites or getting into the office, so can I get a wage increase? So now we're seeing wage inflation that's being driven by gas prices. So that's the thing with fuel, is that everyone uses it all along the supply chain. So yes, it's you might say it's up a little, 30% here or 30% there, and government might not want to do anything, but it gets embedded at every stage, and before you know it, I think that's what's driving a big part of our inflation, which we know is now, 4 decades high? It's insane.
Yeah. What would you like to see happen? You want the government to step in here and cut gas taxes, correct?
Yeah, I think we're trying to be reasonable and look for a temporary support to let families and people and businesses catch their breath, just because it's been, as I said, it's been 35% in 4 months. I mean, it's been deep and it's been fast, the increase in cost. So we're looking for a temporary suspension of a few particular taxes. And we think we can get to about 30 cents a litre if everyone gets on board, which would save about $15 for the family sedan to fill it up. And that's $160 for a car, or if we got 2 of them in a family, that's $120, $130. And that's real money that then can be spent taking the kids to the movies or going to the restaurant or getting your carpets cleaned, or things that will actually support our local economy. So, yeah, we're looking at the 10 cent a litre federal excise tax. The provincial BC has a couple of taxes that are combined under motor fuel taxes, which is about 8.5, and then there's GST, which we pay on everything. We pay on the gas and the taxes too, and that'll be about 9 or 10 cents, depending on how much it is, how much the at the pump price is. So we think that gets us to about 29-30 cents, which again we think is real savings for people and would give everyone a little bit of a break over what a really kind of tenuous time where we don't know what's going to be happening with inflation, the price of and cost of living.
Okay, so you're calling on, 2 levels of government here to cut taxes, provincial and federal, right?
Yeah, we'd love to see some collaboration on this. I think that the heavy lift would be coming from the federal government, because they'd have the GST and their excise tax, and that would be the chunk of it. But we think the province could and should play a role as well, and we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. So I know taxes do pay for things, so we want to make sure we're picking the right things to draw on or to spend. But we think both levels of government have a role to play here. Both levels of government, let's not forget, are kind of raking it in from inflation. Every time someone gets a salary increase, that's more income tax that goes to both. Every penny that you pay more at the grocery store, that means more in consumption taxes for GST and PSD. So we think that revenue can be used to offset some of the taxes that people are paying, just for a temporary time, to give everyone a chance to catch up, catch their breath, and while we figure out, is inflation keep going high? Is it peaking? Have the other measures we've been putting in place as a government and as a central bank, are they working? It's just been so fast, so deep. We think government should be doing something to support business. Yeah.
Speaking to Corey Redicott, CEO, Langley Chamber of Commerce, about sky-high gas prices. They are calling for a reduction in federal provincial gas taxes. So, what did you say, 30 cents a litre? That would be the cut?
It would get us to about that if everybody both levels of government came on board. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it'd be nice if I'll take anything, Mike. So if the province just wants to do the 8.5 cents, let's get on board. We'll cut the ribbon and be there with bells on, and that would be meaningful. I don't think anything matters, but we think if both came to the table and exercised what some of the things that they have control over, we could actually make a meaningful reduction, which would I think would put some dollars back in people's pockets and help just everyone catch their breath for the few months where we don't know what's going to be happening with prices. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 30 cents a litre. If you were to cut those taxes overnight, that obviously would be a significant cut. But I wonder if, the people listening are just probably loving hearing what you're saying. Yeah, bring it on. Let's cut those gas taxes. But man, you take a look at the two governments we're talking about here, the provincial government, the federal government, they show absolutely no interest to date in cutting gas taxes. And in fact, the federal finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, was bragging the other day about how she just recently jacked up the federal carbon tax, even though there is record high inflation. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that there's record high inflation. This government is going to continue to increase the carbon tax. That's their priority. So where do you see any kind of willingness or of either of these governments to cut taxes? Because I sure don't see one.
I'm not suggesting that it's an easy paved road that we can all take. But I think what we need to be doing is having more voices like ours and like your listeners saying that this is unprecedented. We know the carbon tax is designed to increase the cost of fuel. I mean, that's what it's there for. Yeah. We know that we need to transition these things. But the reason why both governments, and here in BC for 15 years, we've been staggering and ratcheting up the carbon tax because we realize they can't just slam the brakes on. So they know, even in their own accord, they know that they have to slowly increase the carbon tax. You have to slowly increase prices, they change behavior to give people a chance to make some changes. What we've seen here is we've done carbon tax on steroids. We've jumped to 210, 212, I got up as high as, $2.30 a few weeks ago a litre, and people just can't change their behavior that fast. The economy can't pivot that fast. So that's why we're saying, these are record-breaking, unprecedented price increases. Let's take the foot off the gas, so to speak. Let's give everyone a chance to catch their breath. Eventually, we'll figure out how we can accommodate this. Maybe gas prices will moderate, or maybe the central bank measures will tame inflation. But to have your fuel costs go up as fast as they have, as quickly as they have, is making a real hardship for people, for families, and for businesses. And I think that's the thing. We all know where we have to be on a long-term trajectory here. But we're talking about the last 4 months, and it's a real hard hit for a lot of people.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, those fuel costs, when they're this high, they get embedded into the price of everything else along the supply chain, and it forces prices up across the board. At the Chamber of Commerce there in Langley, you guys represent business there. What are you hearing specifically from business? Because gasoline, fuel costs, that's an input cost for a lot of businesses that are trying to get by right now. So how does that affect, what are you hearing from your people, from businesses, about the price of gas and how it's affecting their business right now?
Yeah, well, I think it's not hard to picture where it could be impacting a business. If you're thinking, picture a plumber or an HVAC company, if they've got to pay an extra $50, $60, $70 to get to their sites. Because remember, these are service people. They can't take the bus. They've got to get to your house to fix your toilet. They've got to get to your business to fix your HVAC system. If they're having to pay more to fill their trucks up, that's going to get passed on. It has to get passed on in some level to the consumer, which leads to inflation, or it has to be eaten by the business, which leads to less of a margin for them. And if your listeners might remember, we've had a bit of a few things hit businesses the last 2 years, and there's not a ton of margin or money in the bank for some of these businesses. So that's an obvious example. The thing that I thought was interesting is that wage thing. And we all know the stories around wage inflation and how hard it is to find and attract labor, and businesses are doing tons to try to keep and attract people to work for them. But then we've also seen, on top of those market forces, we've seen things like the minimum wage and the employer health tax and the sick leave. All these things get stacked on. And I thought it was interesting. I heard from a few employers who were saying they're actually having employees saying, well, hey, if you need me to come into the factory, even if you need me to go visit clients and things, again, things you can't do on the bus, I'm paying $60 more, $100 more, $120 more in gas. So can I get that reimbursed? Can I get an extra dollar an hour? So you're seeing gas prices now not just hit input costs on hard goods and services. You're actually seeing it on wage inflation. And again, that's where it starts to layer on. So yeah, your donut and coffee is going up by $1. Well, there's probably a little bit of fuel in that from getting the donut to the restaurant, a little bit of the worker getting to the restaurant, a little bit of the flour getting to the factory. It all stacks up. And it's fueling the inflation that we have. And yeah, was it 7.7%? I mean, I've never seen this in my lifetime, and I think probably few of your listeners would have to remember a long time back to see inflation this high. And I think that's what happens when something increases so dramatically, so quickly. And unless someone knows something that I don't on where it's going to be going in 3 or 4 months, I think we should take some action to help mitigate it in the meantime.
How long would the gas tax cut be in place for in your mind? You mentioned you're looking for a temporary reduction in gas taxes, not permanent. How long would temporary be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that devil's all in the details on that. I think we would have to. I think government should look and see what is a reasonable framework. Is it the rest of the year? I think that's what Ontario's done with theirs, to see, okay, we're going to have probably an interest rate increase next month. They're talking maybe another one before the end of the year. Do we start to see inflation come down? Does another 5-6 months give us time to figure out what's happening with world oil prices and the conflict in the Ukraine? So I think, yeah, a number of months would give us a chance to at least see where are we going on this, and it gives people a chance to catch up. I think businesses are resilient. We can figure out how to pinch and scrape and make sure that we can get by with higher costs, but not when they go up 30% in a couple of months. So I think a temporary measure to give us all a little bit of breathing room, give government a time to figure out what's going on with the markets here, and then we can reassess and see where we're going from there. I mean, I'll take permanent tax cuts for business any day I can get them, but we realize that these taxes fund things, and it's something that we need to be doing, but just not this. Prices can't be this high this fast. It's just untenable.
Thanks for coming on with your thoughts on it today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Mike. Take care.
Oh, okay. Corey Redekop there, CEO, Langley Chamber of Commerce, making the case for a gas tax cut.